Mr. Arnold for 5 minutes or less, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think I want to continue on somewhat along the lines of where Ms. Barron was going here with the exploitation rates and so on. You indicated, Mr. Bunnell, that I believe, and I believe you also, Mr. Wareham, that there were indications that the stocks were returning. Mr. Wareham, you indicated $14 million in plant upgrades in anticipation, and yet until there was a change in the modeling, a change in modeling, not a change in the number of fish, there would be no great growth in the season. It was still to be not a sentinel fishery, but not a commercial fishery. Can you connect those dots for me? The investment that was being made and the belief that the stocks were improving, and yet the department had no indication of that until they changed the modeling.
I'll start first on that. So I guess we didn't know, as was said, obviously, we found out retrospectively from DFO Science that the stock was in the cautious zone since 2016, which we didn't know until March of 2024. So when we made the investment, the stock was already in the cautious zone, which we didn't know about. And I guess we are all, I think, mostly aware of, talked about climate change, ecosystem changes. You know, when the reference point, the science reference point, I guess we'll say, was the early 80s, by putting in data that was readily available back to the 1954 on three key components, that gave a better understanding of the stock, which then changed the limit reference point and the outlook on the stock. So although we didn't know when it would happen, we all expected that there would be a return to a commercial cod fishery.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Bunnell, back to you. We often hear in this committee from organizations that are competing for the last little bit of a share of a stock or a fishery, a harvest. But why are we not hearing more about the recovery of stocks, and so that there is adequate harvest for everyone to be commercially viable, to be sustainable for First Nations food, social, and ceremonial? Why are we not seeing that? Why didn't we see that with the cod stocks? What was holding back the recovery of the stock?
You're referring to pre-moratorium or currently, or on northern cod specifically? I'm just trying to understand.
Post-moratorium, why did it take I believe it's 32 years for the stock to begin to recover?
Well, I think historically a significant amount of damage was done to the stock, obviously, with the significant overfishing, as I said, foreign, domestic, inshore, offshore. The fishery was not managed well pre-moratorium period. It went down to a very, very low level. Environmental conditions at the time did not help either. So a combination of factors.
What happened since? Why didn't it recover? When you talk about Iceland harvest 100,000 tons annually and sustainably, it seems, what is different with Iceland's management versus Canada's management?
Stock didn't go to a collapse level, to my recollection, at least to the status that our stock went. We went to a collapse level, and it's taken time to get back.
What is different about the management? You're in the business.
I think management today, there's really no difference between us and Iceland. We have similar management measures in place. Some of the things I took you through a short while ago. Historically, we had poor management measures pre-moratorium. I think nobody would dispute that, and there's been lots of books written on that particular topic.
Was it just the fishery that was managed poorly, or was it the entire ecosystem process with predation and natural mortality?
Well, pre-moratorium, there really wasn't much of a focus on an ecosystem-based model.
I'm talking post-moratorium,
today,
in the last 30 years.
Yeah, today I think, listen, we all monitor ecosystem indicators. We have all kinds of technology in our boats to monitor things. We're in a changing environment. I think the best thing we can do to manage fishery today, have good, robust stock assessments to ensure that we have annual surveys that are giving us a good indication of the state of the stock, and looking at ecosystem indicators as part of that, of course.
Are you referring to just the cod stocks or prey stocks?
More broadly, yeah. Just in general, I think. Yeah, absolutely.
And is that a difference between Canada and Iceland?
I think where we are today, and I think we've come off a couple of tough years on the multi-species surveys out our way, but we seem to be back on track right now. As long as we have good, robust surveys going on an annual basis with good analytical capacity to interpret that data, I think we can stand up with any country in terms of our standards.